We want to welcome you to the second Regional Connections webinar on federal programs impacting the Centralina region. These webinars are offered by the Centralina Council of Governments for staff and members of our Congressional delegation. If today's participants experience any technical difficulties with the webinar, please contact Kelly Weston at 704-348-2728 and she'll assist you. I'm Jim Prosser, Executive Director of Centralina Council of Governments, and today I'll be joined by Mike Manis, our Director of Community and Economic Development, and by David Howlers, our Director of Workforce Development. Today, Mike, David, and I will take about 20 minutes to cover the first three items on our agenda and then open the floor to your questions. Please feel free to submit questions as we go along or wait till the question and answer time. The majority of our time today will be spent on showing you how our Workforce Development Board and our Economic Development Commission are investing the federal funding to generate significant impacts for our region's residents and businesses. In subsequent webinars, we'll share with you how other Centralina departments are using federal funding. To start with, we want to remind you that Centralina is a quasi-governmental entity formed by our region's local governments in 1968, and we are recognized by North Carolina as the state-designated lead regional organization responsible for administering funds from several long-standing successful federal programs. Our board is composed of each local government's member-appointed representatives from their own elected bodies. We work collaboratively with government, businesses, and nonprofits in our region to grow jobs in the economy, control cost of government, and improve quality of life. We are one of the only organizations focusing on region-wide and multi-jurisdiction collaborative efforts. Our region is large and fast-growing. We're the sixth largest metropolitan area in the Southeast, just behind Baltimore and Tampa, in the top 25 nationally, ahead of Portland, Oregon, and just behind St. Louis and Denver. We're one of the fastest growing in the country, more than twice the national rate of population growth over the last 5 years. And we are expected to almost double in population between the 2010 and 2040 census. How this region manages its growth, creates opportunities for all, and remains a globally competitive and attractive place to live, work, and play will have impacts far beyond our 9 counties and the Southeast. Centralina offers these quarterly webinars to help keep you informed about how our region and its communities are engaging in these challenges and investing the federal funds provided to us for these purposes. Today's webinar is the second in the quarterly series. Both webinars highlight the impact of federal programs that are helping our region grow jobs in the economy, control cost of government, and improve quality of life. Both webinars can be viewed on YouTube and will provide links to them through Centralina's website at the end of today's webinar. In our last fiscal year, ending June of 2015, Centralina managed almost $15 million in funding from 6 federal agencies, much of it passed through from the state. As I mentioned, today we will focus on federally funded programs managed by our Workforce Development Department and our Community and Economic Development Department, with funding originating from U.S. Department of Labor and U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration. In the upcoming webinars, we'll focus on federal impacts in our region that come through our Aging Department and Planning Departments. The $7.4 million in Department of Labor's funding came to us through 2 different federal programs. The Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act, widely distributed by formula to workforce development boards across the state, and the Senior Community Service Employment Program, competitively sub-awarded to Centralina by 2 separate federal award grantees, Senior Service America and the state of North Carolina. Turning to EDA funding, of the $184,000 received in 2014 and 2015, $74,000 was part of the 3 3-year partnership planning grants awarded to our Economic Development Commission in its role as the designated economic development district organization for our region. $110,000 was competitively awarded grant under the EDA's Investing in Manufacturing Communities Partnership Program. We'll talk about the SEP grant in an upcoming webinar. So let's move on now to the impact of these grants, starting with the WIOA funding and our workforce department.
Thank you, Jim. This is David Hollers. I'm Executive Director of the Centralina Workforce Development Board. My pleasure to be on the webinar today. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the work of the Centralina Workforce Development Board. Again, we are a multi-county workforce development board designated by the state to provide as a recipient of WIOA funds in this region. We serve the 7 counties within the Centralina region. We do not serve Mecklenburg and Gaston. We coordinate with the Charlotte Works and Gaston Workforce Development Boards on the efforts for our regional labor market. Centralina Workforce Development Board was the first multi-county workforce development board in North Carolina, formed in 1983. And we, again, are focused primarily on assisting career seekers with the guidance and training through our operating 8 NC Works career centers in our region. We also provide direct services to employers, connecting talent to jobs. And we also, again, convene and collaborate on regional workforce efforts, which include, among other things, our Allied Health Regional Skills Partnership, the North Carolina Manufacturing Institute, and work we're doing with the Centralina Economic Development Corporation with the Lumina Foundation grant, which Mike Maness will talk about shortly. Our funds are, again, geared towards serving career seekers and employers, and we've been very successful over the years in obtaining help for all those individuals and meeting the needs of connecting talent to jobs. And right now, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Maness.
Thank you, David. And I'm Mike Maness, the Director for the Community and Economic Development Department. And as Jim mentioned earlier, the funding we're talking about today came from the U.S. Department of Economic Development Administration out of the Commerce. The Centralina Economic Development Commission is the EDA's designated development district for the 9 counties in the Centralina region. And the Centralina Economic Development Commission promotes a diversified and an innovative regional economic base, and we advocate for sustainable growth and support our jobs development through the expansion, retention, and recruitment of business and industry. The $74,000 that you see in the past current year was actually a part of the 3-year planning grant that totaled $189,000 over the 3-year period. The commission housed here in the Centralina Council of Government is actually a 501c3 organization that serves the Greater Charlotte region, and we support implementation of the key activities of the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, the CEDS. This strategy outlines the approach for regional growth and prosperity and builds on the region's strengths, emphasizes the key regional industry clusters, and prioritizes economic development assets, infrastructure, and projects. The CEDS and the data that we produced in that are used and depended upon by a wide range of organizations in our region, such as the Charlotte Regional Partnership, the Chamber of Commerce, and the individual economic development organizations in each county. The Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy was an innovative, award-winning report that we produced in 2012. The actual name is Prosperity for Greater Charlotte, and a part of that was a jobs, workforce, and education alignment strategy, which was a key component that was facilitated through an additional HUD Sustainable Communities project ongoing at the same time. We also provide technical assistance to each of our individual counties for public works and technical assistance grant funding that's available through the EDA. As their needs arise and projects arise, we provide that support. The second piece of our Economic Development Administration funding that we've had is the $110,000, and this was part of a grant that COG and CEDC received back in 2013. It was one of only 26 IMCP grants awarded. The Greater Charlotte Advanced Manufacturing Ecosystem Strategy Development was a long name for that project. We were fortunate enough to engage 37 partners and stakeholder organizations as we created a strategy for that ecosystem for the region. We established a Regional Advanced Industries Coalition We assessed and mapped the region's advanced industry supply chain, value chain system, and we also linked the workforce, R&D assets, export, and logistics assets. Back in 2014, we were in the midst of finalizing this project. The $110,000 was spent as the final portion of that grant. Manufacturing contributes over 140,000 jobs in the greater Charlotte region, and that relates to 11.7% of the total regional workforce. And actually 5 of the 16 counties in our Charlotte, USA region have manufacturing that exceeds 20% of their total employment. This project, the Centralina Advanced Manufacturing Ecosystem Strategy Development, provided a unique opportunity for us to do just that. When we inventoried and assessed the region's manufacturing ecosystem, we were able to develop actionable strategies for ensuring that manufacturing remains a strong and globally competitive component of our region. The manufacturing ecosystem consists of all the manufacturing companies along with their suppliers and customers, the educational and training systems that provide their workforce, and the systems that support entrepreneurship and innovation, and the export and logistics systems that deliver their products to market. One of the outcomes of this was the formation of the Global Charlotte Manufacturing Community Consortium, and this demonstrates the powerful commitment to accelerating the resurgence of manufacturing in our 16-county region through a collaborative partnership of workforce training, R&D resources, and export and logistics to ensure the next stage of our manufacturing heritage and sustain our leading position in the global economy. I'll turn it back over to David right now.
Thank you, Mike. And not only are these federal programs fulfilling their designated purposes in our region, they are also spurring new initiatives based upon the need of our member governments and our other partners. We'd like to share a few examples with you now that are working in our region. The first one is Centralina Career Headlight. Career Headlight is an award-winning web-based career search tool customized with current data from our region. It was developed by the Centralina Workforce Development Board in partnership with Council of Governments using data prepared as part of the USDA funded Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy and the HUD funding Connect Our Future Framework for Growth. Centralina Career Headlights allows students as well as career seekers to link their interests, aptitudes, and work preferences with in-demand, good-paying occupations in our region, and also tying with the local educational institutions that provide the required training for these occupations. Again, it is the only career tool that is focused on our region and providing the information, the data, the current labor market information, as well as growth potential and linkage with the community colleges, technical institutes, and universities in our area for the actual training. I'm going to turn it back over to Mike to talk a little bit about people, skills, and prosperity, another big element of what we're doing as a regional initiative.
Thank you, David. People, Skills, Prosperity is a new initiative, and it's a great example of how we're able to leverage federal funding with private investment. Because of the innovative work we've been able to do in our federally funded SEDS and the Jobs Workforce Education Alignment Strategy I mentioned earlier, private foundations like Lumina Foundation have taken notice. Centralina has been awarded $120,000 in seed money by the Lumina Foundation for the first 2 years of a multi-year program to improve our region's post-secondary attainment, and we've named this project People, Skills, Prosperity. This program helps businesses and workers identify pathways for advancement of existing employees through post-secondary education and training, recognizing that the best way to meet the demand for highly skilled employees is often to educate or train those who are already at work for the company. Promoting the post-secondary education and training is the key to that. We are looking at creating efficiencies and removing barriers in the existing systems. And one advantage of this is that it will be able to be deployed in partnership with the 3 regional workforce development boards in our region. The Centralina Partnership for Attainment and Career Pathways is the partnership operating this program led by COG, and it's part of the Lumina's 75 city member cohort of efforts around the country aimed at accelerating progress in post-secondary attainment. Lumina's national goal is 60% post-secondary attainment for the nation by 2025.
We did want to offer to you that Centralina can help prepare 1 minute.
We need to go back to the freight project.
All right.
We skipped across one. Here with one other initiative we have that's ongoing right now is the Regional Freight Mobility Plan. This is a comprehensive freight systems plan, and we are in an effort to meet the demands of our economic growth for safe, reliable, and efficient movement of goods, and we're assessing the needs and defining our feasible solutions. A collaborative decision-making process and network of partners is critical to that, and this is a supporting foundation that has come out of our economic strategies prior as part of the 2012-2017 SEDS. To be completed by the end of 2016, this project will produce the region's first comprehensive plan to ensure our freight systems match the demands of our region's economic growth. Collaboration and stakeholder engagement is critical to the implementation of this plan, and so the project includes not only local government and transportation planning partners, but business leaders and freight system providers and users as well. Now I'll turn it back to Jim.
We did want to offer to you that Centralina can help prepare one-minute floor statements for members to make. For example, at the upcoming one-year anniversary of the Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act, identifying ways that this program is working locally to help workers and people within our communities. We can also provide you with current data on our region and with our regional plans and studies that reflect extensive public engagement. We can help connect you with local elected officials, local government managers and key staff, as well as with business and civic leaders. We will now open up the lines for questions. We can take them by phone or through the chat line.
Let's start with a couple that have come in already through the questions. How is your workforce board currently collaborating with others in the region, especially on economic development issues?
Well, again, this is David Hollers. We are working directly with Charlotte Works and Gaston Workforce Board on making sure that whatever we do, we're looking at the basic needs of our labor market. We've set up a way that individuals looking for training can get into a selected training provider that is approved by all three local boards. Our board's operations staff meets on a regular basis. We have regular meetings with our career centers to, again, focus on what our talent needs are for the region. Again, the issue is if a person is trained in one county, they may go to work in another. We're very much interested in making sure those people work. We're also working with some of our key career clusters, such as allied health. As I mentioned earlier, we have a skills partnership that goes across the state line, even in South Carolina, looking at the broader labor market. We've been working directly with Charlotte Works and Gaston and their use in their career center with their staff with Career Headlight. And we also been working now on coordinating our business engagement activities. That's the next step in the process. We are invested in a B2B software that's going to be used within Centralina. It'll be soon throughout the entire region to allow folks who call on businesses to share information and to have one point of contact for businesses in our region. So we meet regularly with economic development, listen to their needs, try to design programs and services to meet those, and that's done on a very regular and basis, and it ends up with some very tangible results that end up with a qualified workforce for our region.
Thank you, David. Another question is, what are the region's primary industry clusters identified in the SEDS, and what innovations won awards for that report?
Well, the Charlotte region ended up with 6 primary cluster industries, and those were aerospace, automotive, energy, health and biomed services, finance, and logistics. And part of the innovation award aspects were the cross-cutting workforce competencies that were identified that were embedded across those clusters. As part of that jobs, workforce, and education alignment strategy that was completed with the SEDS, we were able to drill down and identify the curriculums and awards, certificates, and degrees that aligned that talent pipeline across all those 6 clusters, and came up with a report and database that supported that. And that was recognized as an innovative procedure. We also were awarded an innovation award through just the sheer regional collaborative of the report. It included the 16 counties of the Charlotte, USA region. It actually covered a bi-state region, as David mentioned. That's the Greater Charlotte Metro, covers North and South Carolina at the state line, and we were fortunate enough to be able to incorporate that bi-state collaborative aspect, and that was a regional innovation award aspect also.
Before I go to one more question that's come in, are there any from folks who are on the line? If you've had yourself muted, you can unmute. I think I have figured out how to unmute you from our end. I'll go ahead then. One more question. What kinds of private sector partnerships are you using to implement your economic development strategies?
From the freight mobility plan, we are actually incorporating a series of steering committee, advisory committee, and stakeholder committees that are populated by the industry users, the direct recipients, the planners, and the government and official entities that have to implement the plan. So it's a really cross-sector partnership to be able to achieve that. And the IMCP, Investing in Manufacturing Community Partnership activity, we had just had a broad coalition of economic developers, community colleges, and again, private industry that was involved in that. Again, a broad spectrum of the private public sector. And in Career Headlight, we actually have involved the community colleges, the K-12 school systems, of course the workforce boards, and the most key, working with our industry and business partners that will be recipients and part of the end result of that career portal, providing our talent pipeline to our workforce.
Thank you, Mike. Any other questions from the participants?
We do want to take this opportunity to thank you for attending this webinar, but we also want to thank you for your help and assistance when we call with problems and assistance that we need from time to time. That's greatly appreciated. Thanks for joining us today. If we did not get to your questions, or you have some additional questions that you want to pose to us after this session, please feel free to call or email us. This webinar has been recorded and will be posted within the next 2 days. Please encourage your colleagues to view the posted webinars and join us for the next live webinar scheduled in June. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.